Hey, what's going on, family? Good to see you tonight. Why don't you jump in with us and share with your community? We're going to talk a little bit. Hope that you are doing well. Why don't you chime in? Tell us from where you are joining our chat tonight. I think it's going to be a great word with some a prophetic edge and some wisdom for your life. All right. All right. Let's let's jump into a discussion. So, was kind of discussion. It's only discussion if you comment. Now, I was recently talking with a friend, and we were thinking about just considering the times that we're in, right? Like the different age we're in history. And one of the um, thoughts as we begin to analyze like our setting and like what's really happening, right? Um, and so, hey, I see you guys coming in. Why don't you share, comment, tell me where you're watching from? So, I began to think about how life is about seasons. Would you agree that life is about seasons? It's about times. It's about knowing what's happening, not just winter, summer, spring, and fall, but life is like a consecutive movement of seasons. Like you're in your adult season, you're in your young adult season, you're in your learning season, and there are seasons within seasons, which is determined by like what's happening in that season of my life. And so, biblical reference, right? Ecclesiastes chapter 3 is a time and a season for everything under the sun. So pay attention. Everything has its time, everything has its season. Everything in life is about moments. The question becomes, in order to know what to do, Psalm 90 and 12, Lord, teach us to number our days so that we can operate with a heart of, so we can gain a heart of wisdom. So we'll know what to do with the time that we're given. Now, here's where I want to cut to the chase tonight. What I really feel led to share with some people is got some prophetic implications. And so I want to really ask you to tune in. Your season determines your strategy. Your season determines your strategy. There are many of people I'm talking to day by day who are frustrated because the setting or the season in which you're in is not producing the fruit you desire. And sometimes it's not that you're just having a hard time because God is growing you up, or it's not just you're having a hard time because life is just challenging. Sometimes it's not the time for the thing you're trying to pursue. And our struggle is many times we don't know how do we pivot. We try to press in, and sometimes pressing is not the appropriate activity for the season in which you're in. Um, I'll give you an example. There are. I'm in real estate, right? So there are good times in real estate, and then there are great times in real estate. And there oftentimes people fail to adjust the strategy for the season in which you're in. When the season changes, you have to adjust the strategy. Good evening, family. I see you guys coming on in. And so let's think a little bit about defining seasons, defining seasons, paying attention. The scriptures talk about the sons of Issachar, how they knew the times and the seasons. And so my hope tonight is as you listen, that you wouldn't be so engaged in trying to approach life from a specific strategy or way of attack, but that you would learn to know what setting you are in, to know what time you're in, know what's appropriate for the time that you're in. You cannot approach everything the same way. If you try to approach everything the same way, you'll end up frustrated. You'll end up giving up. You'll end up carrying more weight that you're supposed to carry. You'll end up participating in activities that should be over. You got to know when it, as an old song says, you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. And so let's think about this. How do you know what season you're in? How do you know what season you're in? Right? If we use the natural terms, You know it's fall because the leaves start falling. There's a change in the weather. You know it's winter because it's a change in the weather. The temperature drops, the climate changes. Your world is going to tell you what time you are in. You know, another thing will tell you what time you're in or what season you're in. Your mind and your body will tell you what season you're in. Your God knows how to grow us and change us to help us determine what our taste is. What do we have a taste for? What are your cravings? That means that your life is going into a new season. Typically, your a lot of people don't like this, but I'm going to say it anyway. The desires that God puts in your heart will determine the season in which He's trying to pull you into. Which makes me want to tell you, you have to have a walk with God to know, or to be sensitive enough to God to know how to feel and sense the leading of God. You have to have the type of relationship with God where you can feel, sense, and identify which way God may be directing you. Now, there's a specific group of people I'm coming after tonight. I'm coming after the people who don't know when to let go, who don't know when to let go of an outdated strategy. You're the ones on my heart tonight. I want to encourage people who don't know when to let go of an outdated strategy, who are trying to force a square peg into a circular hole. There's many of us who, I'm gonna call it like this. We have an old strategy, but don't realize we're in a new time. This could be in a relationship. This could be concerning your vision. This could be concerning your dream. This could be concerning your ministry. This could be concerning your family. You're in a different time and you can't figure out. It's like, I'll give you an example. It's like when I grew up, we rode bikes, and riding bikes is good, but we played outside. We just randomly threw rocks. We climbed trees. But as you get older, I'm an older person. My body can't climb trees like I used to. And if I fall out of the tree like I did when I was young, I may hurt myself. Some of us are trying to approach life from antiquated positions. It's the same as using an 8-track and you got access to MP3s, right? You got to know the season in which you're in. This covers so many different areas and approaches, no matter whatever you, even in your employment. Some of you may be in a season of life where you need to shift your employment. You may be losing taste for a certain type of employment. You say, you know what? I need to make a transition to a new space. You can't figure out why things aren't working the same they're working. It could be employment. Like I said, it could be relationships. It's okay if your tastes change because your tastes, your cravings, your desires are a sign that God is moving you into a new season. That's what Scripture says, Psalm 37. He gives us the desires of our heart. God gives us what to want. And when God gives you something different to want, He's telling you, I'm preparing you to walk in a different way. And most time when God is changing your walk, is because you're moving into a new season. Okay? Don't get, let me say this like this. Bondage is using an old strategy in a new season. Bondage is using an old strategy in a new season. People don't realize that you can be your own bondage by refusing to change. You can be your own problem by refusing to adjust, refusing to think differently, refusing to learn, refusing to talk differently, refusing to explore new pathways, new methodologies, new vehicles, new devices for getting to an expected end, a planned end. You can become your own bondage when you refuse to adjust your strategy, when you refuse to explore fresh ways to get to a certain spot. All right, let me get to kind of like the finishing point of what I wanted to share with you tonight. So typically, seasons are determined by, hey, I see you guys. Seasons are determined by the time of year, but I love this word, a proper or suitable time. My question is, do you have the spiritual sense to know when is the right time. Some of us are being delayed from God's visions and plans for our life, or the ultimate, or the next spot, the next goal, because it's not the right time. And a lot of people don't, in this age, they don't want to talk about timing, because timing is everything. It is important that we know the time. And we've got to be willing to accept when God allows some stuff to be delayed, or to be held up, or to be restrained from us. It's because it's not the season for that particular objective, right? Pay attention to the relationships around you. Is it the right time? Is it the right time to pursue certain things? Is this the right season? Pay attention to the habits and the ways that you think. Is it the right time? Is it the right season? Am I in the right position? Do I need God to move me into another season? Do I need to follow God into another space in order to be positioned healthily for whatever He may be calling me to? Whether it could be a business, it could be a ministry objective. You've got to know what to do for the season in which you're in. I was sharing with my wife earlier today. I was talking about opportunities and ways to bring innovation and change. And here's the thing: for those of you in ministry or in business, it's important that you know your customer. It's important that you know your audience. It's important that you know the people to whom you've been called, to whom you serve, to whom those whom will purchase your products, because typically they are going to help you to know your season. The people around you, or the people God positions you to be around, are signs of your season. When God begins to put people around you of different caliber, or of different and it doesn't mean higher, doesn't mean lower. I'm talking about just different types of people. When God changes your audience, most of the time He's also changing your season. If you're noticing that different types of people are coming into your life, or encountering you and meeting you, or who are gleaning from your life, it means God is changing your season. So what happens is sometimes we try to make the details the destination, but God is in control of the destination. God runs the whole show. He's driving the car, and we've got to be willing to adjust and know to whom and to what we've been called for the season which we are in. Last little word I want to tell you, in TV, shows run in seasons, right? Like I've been hearing people talk about Snowfall and Power Book and all the other stuff. They have seasons. They have premieres, and then they have finales. Your TV shows have premieres, and they have finales. The premieres when the season's coming on out. We're about to premiere the first episode of this season of whichever show you watch, and it goes for a specific period of time, and then it has a finale. That's life. Seasons have premieres and finales. They have introductions and they have closings. It is vital that you know where you are in the season. Know what you should be doing. And then knowing the season determines the strategy. Your marriage has seasons. Your business has seasons. Your career path has seasons. Your vocation has seasons. What season are you in financially? Your finances has seasons. You have seasons. Emotionally and mentally, you go through seasons. And knowing what seasons you are in individually will help to communicate to the people around you what time and season you're in. How many of our relationships would be better if we could communicate to the people around us that we were in different types of seasons? Hey, this is what's important to me right now. How much peace would be established? How much understanding would be established if we had the courage to discover what season we're in and to communicate it to people so that they know how to navigate. So we all can develop a strategy for harmony and for peace because we know what season we're in. You could be in a season of retirement professionally. That's a different season in life. You're looking at things differently versus if you're in a season of promotion. You're looking to climb the corporate ladder. It's important that you know what season you're in, and then that determines your strategy. So really, what's really in my heart tonight is that there are many of us who don't realize that the times have changed. There are many of us who are frustrated and expecting the setting to respond to our strategy. No, it's us who respond. The setting tells us what the strategy should be, the type of people you should be marketing to, whether you're in ministry or in business or evangelizing, the type of people you should be hanging out with. The setting, the season's going to tell you that. So if you're being frustrated by certain types of people, it's time for you to change, because the season is telling you, the time of life you're in is telling you that this is not the appropriate time for that. That's who I came on tonight for, is people who are struggling to realize that the season is up for something, that the source of your frustration is not the setting. It's you not changing. The source of your frustration is not the people. It's not the job. The source of your frustration is really not your bank account. Now, for some people it is, but hear the theme of what I'm saying. It's not the bank account. The source of your frustration is not the marriage. It's not the relationship. It's your inability to adjust, your unwillingness. You have the ability to adjust. It's your unwillingness to adjust. Things have changed. Let the season determine the strategy. Become an explorer again. Analyze what's happening around you and pull data from what you see and create a strategy based off of the season. I close with this. You don't plant in the winter. You don't plant in the winter. Some things you plant in the spring, some things you plant in the fall. Certain things grow in certain seasons, right? There are certain fruits. Of course, we see that in the spring, things blossom and bloom in the spring. And then in the summer, it gets really hot and everything can't last during the summer. Then in the fall, the temperature changes because we're moving into the winter. It's important that you know what to cultivate. Me and my wife were at a baby shower last week, and we were given plants, and it just spoke to me, like God spoke to me through the plant. And this question has been on my mind. What are you cultivating? What are you cultivating in your life that you want to grow? Well, you got to know how to cultivate it. You got to know what should I be watching over in this season? What should I be watering? What should I be positioning and caring for to give sunlight to? And am I employing the appropriate strategy for the season of life in which I'm in? Let me pray for you. Lord, times and seasons are in your hands, and there are some who are watching this and who will see it, who have seen it, and who will see it, who are experiencing just frustration and a lack of clarity. But I ask you to give them that clarity to know what season of life that they're in, so that they can develop a strategy based off of the data from discovering their season. And God, we know that if we follow your steps, things won't always be perfectly peaceful, but we can have peace in the midst of imperfect circumstances. So I pray for somebody to have peace and clarity and wisdom. Teach us to number our days so that we can cultivate a heart of wisdom, so that we can know what to do with the time you've given us. And help us not to be frustrated and distracted by frustration, by the things that aren't working, not because we're not working hard, because it's just not the right season for it. Help us to know how to resign and to take a step back and to rethink and to revision and to rediscover what's appropriate for the time that we're in. And we give you praise and thanks. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Love you guys. Just want to give you this quick word. Have an amazing night.